He's a hoe, and I want that known. Like, I see why he got punched in the nuts, because that's some, like, he says some things that you should not say to another man ever, but, like, I don't respect it because you say that, then run behind your O-line. That's some real soft shit, and I want that known. I see exactly why they punched the nuts. I'm surprised nobody punched him in the jaw yet.
As well as you see those numbers.
Here they only have one tight end in. 3rd and goal, McCaffrey. Touchdown, got in there. All set up on a 66-yard punt return. Kins the back. Sanders to the air. Gets a block. Hit as he throws. Caught wide open. Fannin 5. Touchdown, Cleveland. Sanders, a terrific read. Bring Teller off the bench. 4th and 1.
Oh, they dropped the snap.
Dropped the ball. It looks like Gifford jumped on it. They did a turnover. The game's first. The fake. Purdy. Touchdown, San Francisco. What deception. 2-yard touchdown run. Brock Purdy. First touchback with the wind. And the hang, and now the fair catch. So he fumbled the ball, muffed it, and it's picked up right there. San Francisco all over it. What a big-time play.
Well, the Browns lost, the Steelers lost, the Buckeyes won, and we're going to be talking about some hoes. This is the main event here on the Inside Edge Podcasting Network. We got AA Anthony Alford. We got Eli Moon. I am Rob Rozycki. We have a quorum, gentlemen. How has everybody's weekend been?
AA?
It's going.
Well put, Eli.
Well, thanks. I'll say this. Thanksgiving was great. Thanksgiving was phenomenal. The whole weekend was great to see family. Great to spend time with family. You know, watching sports, watching some surprising developments across the spectrum, which we'll get to.
Dude.
I can't wait to get to it. But everything was great, per usual, until 1 o'clock this afternoon. And then it all went down the drain.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I got to spend some time, Rob, yesterday with our good friend AA. We got to see The Last Time Is Now, except for it will be again in a few weeks. John Cena wrestled yesterday. That was pretty cool. And that kind of like softened the blow, like, you know, for everything else that was going to come today. Because I told myself, this is the day that the Browns are going to shock the world. San Francisco's coming in. It just snowed all weekend. Why not? And we didn't do it. I get it.
Yeah, we found out why not.
Yeah, but here's the thing. You know, I know we're going to talk a lot about the Browns. My first thought is let's let Shedeur keep balling. Like, I get it. He didn't look like a superstar today, but let's let him keep playing and let him do his thing. And he's working with what he has. It was a great throw. You know, we saw in the open of the show to Harold Fannin, get him more involved. That's exciting. But ultimately, you know, anybody that's going to throw any type of shade towards Shedeur, like Jerry Jeudy was, I think is just tripping.
Well, I saw that footage with Judy and Sanders, and I thought it was AA grabbed like a sneak peek of what you and I do during pre-show. But no, yeah, I mean, the Browns game, I mean, we can go there if you want. I mean, you know, whatever we want to do here, because, I mean, like, it just seemed kind of a classic, like, situation of special teams took a shit way too many times, put too much pressure on the defense, bad coaching all the way around. And, yeah, I don't think you could put really anything on Shedeur today specifically. This is not a game that he lost. This was not – I mean, you could probably put it on, you know, the kick returner more than anything. But, you know, if you want to put somebody down. But, yeah, I mean, this whole thing was bad. And, yeah, I mean, you know, my Thanksgiving weekend was pretty much that. You know, I was working at the radio station in the kitchen a lot. But, yep, got the only thing I can really change from me to AA's was at 4 o'clock my life died as opposed to 1 o'clock for you guys.
That's fair.
Because the Steelers' offense looked pretty much like the Browns have the last 11 weeks. So, Aaron Rodgers is really old.
Well,
I feel that.
Well, the issue with the Browns game today, you would like to say, well, San Francisco, coming in 8-3, they're, contenders to win it all. Like, they came in here and dominated. That was not the case. Like, the Browns were in the game. Shador did a pretty decent job today. He showed more to Dylan Gabriel, so that itself is a win. But as great as our defense is, every third down, every big third down, we give up a big play. We saw in the open the fumble on 4th and 1, where we could have kicked the field goal. And Rob and I, we were joking before the show. I'm like, is the NFL or just football coaches in general, are we allergic now to just kicking field goals, kicking extra points? What happened to ending a drive with a kick? What happened to getting guaranteed points at the end of each drive? I don't know what happened to that.
Analytics. Yeah. That's what, and the Browns have been a pretty analytically heavy franchise the entire way. So, if it says you have the 52% chance of converting, and converting gives you a 2% chance more of winning, then they're going to absolutely do it, and they're going to hide behind the numbers. So, but the thing is, with analytics, what you can't account for are these stupid-ass mistakes, and we see it on special teams with that big-ass kick return. We see it on with the muffed. I don't know how a kick returner gets something right in the chest and still doesn't figure it out. I understand it's windy, but those analytics doesn't factor in poor special teams management, coaching, whatever you want to call it. Bubba Ventrone, I am shocked this guy still has a job.
Yeah, it's it's disappointing because we truly were in that game. Like, I get that the final score isn't pretty, but we were in that game for a majority of it, like competing. The offense, we felt like we at least were going to make some sort of motion with the offense. To Double A's point, and I don't want to keep beating a dead horse on the Gabriel versus Shador thing, but it's like we know obviously there's one quarterback that we feel comfortable can at least move the offense down the field and progress prospect wise. And that was promising enough out of Shador. So that even though we lost, it's a W for me because look, we're 3-8. I know they put the nice playoff picture in the hunt. And I know we all saw it last week with the Browns in the hunt. And I got excited for a moment. Okay. I got excited because damn it, I just want the playoffs again.
I blame NBC. Because nobody here was talking in the hunt. The last time we talked playoffs.
You hear those 3 words, Double A, in the hunt? Season reactivated. Like we're back.
That was NBC. They had a little extra room on their graphic on a late Thanksgiving. It's like, you know what? I guess technically CLE 3-8. We got some space.
Well, the thing is, and I think the only reason why, and I saw everybody making fun of that the entire week. I think the only reason why it was there was because this AFC North right now is so pedestrian. Baltimore and Pittsburgh right now, depending on who's winning. Pittsburgh obviously just lost, so did Baltimore a couple days ago. They're fighting between the 4 seed and the 10 seed. Right now, as it stands, Cleveland is, what are we sitting here? 3-9? They're 3 games out of the division. Yeah. You want to get down brass tacks, but I'm not making any predictions. I'm not calling any shots, but just the numbers. There's 3 games out.
Go ahead, call your shot. Go ahead.
Rob, look, man, all I'm saying is we were literally a missed field goal in week 1 and a bad drive overseas, out of the country from literally being a game back of first place in the division, because I still think, I wanted to believe we could beat San Francisco. And like I said, the weather was playing in our favor. We definitely had the better quarterback of the 2 prospects in today, but we just beat ourselves. But it's just crazy to think that we literally would still be a game back of the North. We still play the Steelers, I believe, later this year one more time. So it's just crazy to think how few – and the Bengals. And it's crazy to think like we just are a few plays away. But it's just a story of our lives as Cleveland Browns fans. We are just 1 play away, 1 draft pick away, 1 coach away, 1 GM away.
And that was kind of what this game was a microcosm of too, was, if you look at the team stats straight up on down, total yards, 252 to 253. That was where both teams were at right there. time of possession basically down the middle. I think it was about 20 seconds in favor of San Francisco. Pretty much identical first downs. The only stat that there was a huge swing towards San Francisco, 2 fumbles lost for Cleveland, none for San Francisco, no turnovers at all. And that's what it is. The Browns played well enough to win, except for about 3 to 4 plays. And a game, honestly, that's just statistically anyway, that even should not end up in what, an 18-point blowout loss, which is what it was. Yeah. And I don't even know what would have happened too if the weather was a little bit nicer out and there wasn't that kind of equalizer out there.
Well, and I will say this too. Here's the obvious thing. Like, Stefanski is dead man walking. It's really a matter of time, because Eli mentioned how close this team really is to flipping over some of those L's into wins, and the division is basically a gift. Like, we're going to have serious discussions about, can Cincinnati make a run now that Joe Burrow's back and winning the AFC North? We're not having that conversation here in Cleveland. The one thing I'll say about Shedeur, where San Francisco did smarten up, they started bringing the house on Shedeur. And until he learns to consistently, not hold on to the ball too long or turn his back, once he turns his back, that's it. He is walking.
That's when he looks like a college quarterback for sure.
And that has to change. And even
that's a Johnny Manziel move.
Right. And even some of the game situation type deals. Late in the game, I know the game's pretty much out of reach. 4th and 26, 4th and forever. When you don't need to slide, like, throw it up in the air. At worst, you're going to get picked off, but when you scramble, you're not going to make up 25, 26 yards for the first down. You got to give your team an opportunity to win. So it's those little things. I want to see, can Shedeur make those steps? But the ceiling is way higher than what it was the previous guy that was in there.
Yeah, and they got to protect Shedeur. I do want to make that very, very clear. They got to protect Shedeur, not only on the field. We talked about the offensive line being old and beat up. It's just what it is. I mean, Joe Bitonio was on the same offensive line as Joe Thomas in his prime. I feel like, he's been here a very long time. We have guys that are here and have been here a long time. Is what I'm getting at. I think he
blocked for Ernest Biner. Yeah.
Yeah, and I respect it. Like, don't get me wrong, I love that they've rocked with us this long. But eventually, you had to look into, younger guys to defend your young potential franchise quarterback. So not only that, but also protecting him in terms of who you have around him. And he's also doing a good job, and I'll touch on this in a moment, of how he's handling certain questions and things coming his way. But we saw in the open, we keep going back to it, but there's a lot of great stuff there. And shout out AA for putting that together. But really, a cool thing here is, or not a cool thing, rather, a bad thing to see here is Jerry Jeudy going off on Shedeur in this argument about, apparently, I don't know what play it was, but I'd imagine it's the ball that went over his head. And, whatever, here nor there, the wind, the route, whatever. I just think putting guys, and this isn't, I'm not trying to make him out to be the bad guy, but Jerry Jeudy up to this point has shown no.
He is the bad guy.
But I don't like painting out somebody to be like that. But he has not been a leader since day one. He's getting paid like the wide receiver one of this team, but yet it's consistently like, oh, I don't want to take blame. I catch these balls in practice, but I never see them in the game. Now today, whatever have you, however that play happened, you're going off on the guy who's in his second start when you haven't shown up all season. So I think the Browns need to be careful about who they surround Shedeur around, because that stuff, like Jarvis Landry said way back when, is infectious, is contagious, actually. And that's, so that, and then my final point, Rob, because I know you got some stuff to say, is Shedeur did a really good job in the postgame. There was a question, I don't know who it came from, but I asked him about if he loved Kevin Stefanski's aggressiveness and 4th and 1 and stuff. Some of these questions are some of the weirdest things I've ever seen. It's like they're almost trying to bait this guy into saying something that will paint him out to not be a starting quarterback. It's kind of ridiculous that our own media is doing that shit, to be honest.
Well, that's all me. Like, they're all looking for clicks. They're all looking for something that's going to provoke. They're all, that's kind of, part of what you do as a beat reporter, unfortunately. But no, as much as we can pound on the team for sure. And they did not look good at all. Well, they had points in time. Players did look good. Obviously the touchdown to Harold Fannin. And that kind of leads me to the bright spots right now. And I think the things that the Browns can build on, the tight end room is fine. You know that one's great. If Njoku's happy being here, which, okay, great. You got 2 guys with those 2 cats. Also, too, with Judkins and Sampson, you got a couple of rookie running backs that are going to be around for the foreseeable future, assuming they can stay out of holding cells. And then the rest of the draft class, too. You throw in Mason Graham, you throw in Schlesinger. The Browns have a pretty good base build here with this draft class, and that's even before you kind of influence it by your opinion of Shedeur. And then, Shedeur had statistically a far better game than he did last week. 16 to 25, 149 yards, touchdown, no turnovers. He did have the 3 sacks. Yeah, and to Double A's point, that is kind of the some of the things that they do have to coach out of him is the turning the back to the to the end zone, running away, holding on to it too long. So the Browns, if they keep Andrew Berry, I think he might have done enough with this draft class to keep his job. If they keep Stefanski, who the hell knows at this point? I think at least they have something to kind of build on and look on from the future. But that didn't help them much today when it came down to just special teams getting their shit together.
Well, we talked about before, is Stefanski and Andrew Berry, are they a package deal? And I think the answer is no.
I think it may have been a yes as soon as at the beginning of the season, but I think now you might be right.
Yeah, I just think – I don't think they're aligned, based on reports that we've been hearing throughout the year. They're not aligned. Even going back to the whole quarterback thing earlier in the season with the handling of Kenny Pickett, the handling of Joe Flacco, the handling of Dylan Gabriel, even now Shedeur, Deshaun. There's nothing there that they're aligned with. My question in this last month is going to be very telling. Number one, is this rookie class vastly improving as the final weeks go on? And then number two, I'm going to be honest, this Browns job, at least from, a GM standpoint, if it is open, this might be one of the best GM openings of the entire NFL this offseason.
It could be coach too, honestly. Mm-hmm. You got a lot of resources there. You got to the whole thing about that though is, can you convince, if you're going to be a new head coach, to keep the defensive coordinator here? Or is that guy going to want to go somewhere else where maybe he does have an offense that he can mess around with? But yeah, I mean, it's not a bad job. I mean, if you take the Haslam experience out of it, it's not really a bad. You got a couple of first round picks. You got a lot of rookies. You got a lot of young talent, and you got the best defensive player on the planet. So I mean, there's a lot worse situations you could be in.
But let's be clear that Andrew Berry, let's not give him free pass here. AA. He has had a great draft, but up until this last draft where they addressed Fannin and Judkins, he has been pitiful in putting offensive weapons on the field. So I'll give Andrew Berry a pass for this draft. And I'm kind of with you where it's Stefanski's mishandling of the Baker situation and now doing it again. It's like deja vu, but now with 2 young quarterbacks, with putting Gabriel over Shedeur when we've now seen over 2 weeks who should have been on the field getting those reps. It's inexcusable and a fireable offense. So I think Kevin Stefanski would have to go at the end of the season, regardless if the Browns finished with 3 or, a few more wins. Now, Berry, though, AA, Berry has saved himself another year because of the draft class with Graham, Judkins, Shedeur, Fannin, these guys that we've already touched on. But at the end of the day, if they don't bring in another offensive wave that can actually help, and I'm talking land the offensive lineman, because Jedrick Wills, when they drafted him, that's a huge bust. And they thought it was the guy after Joe Thomas. They haven't addressed anything, I guess is my whole point. And if Andrew Berry can't get it right on the offensive side, he's got to go too.
I'll say this. I'll kind of double down. I think, Andrew Berry has done a great job with this draft. I think because of the resume, though, over the previous 5 years, if it were me, I'm blowing this whole thing up.
I'm with you.
Because the wins are not the wins are not coming along. Mm-hmm. It's just not a.
I'm okay.
Is that you, Eli?
Yeah, I live so. Just to peel the curtain back for a moment, I live on a main street, right? I'm not going to reveal what city because there's some wild people out there. I'll respect everybody. But, we're
Lincoln, Nebraska.
No, man. Well, yeah, just an avid Cleveland Browns fan. And Lincoln. All right, but
police activity in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Dude, I'm telling you, imagine that at like 7:30 when you're trying to sleep, get some last minute Z's before the start of the week, and that's how you wake up.
No,
I like
that's
we don't have those issues.
What I'm saying is ultimately though, like the fans, like I'm going to be honest, I'm just going to be real, especially too because Thanksgiving weekend, things like that, you're around your family and stuff. Mm-hmm. It's like these are moments, these are weekends. I'm like, man, I wish I could talk to my dad, because if you don't know, my dad passed, 8 years ago, and we were locked in, sports fan, Browns fan, because sometimes he was able to put to perspective, why this team has struggled, all this time, and you always hope, like, man, we can finally turn it around. And it's like this level of stupidity with this organization. And you're like, man, my dad held on for so long as a Browns fan. It's like sometimes you do wonder why? Week in and week out, not only are you losing, you're getting your behinds kicked each and every single week. And we come on the air, we're professional broadcasters, like, well, if they do this, and this, then hopefully this will matter. And they still lose. So it's just like, I don't know what else. I'm like,
no, I get that.
Turn to my dad and be like, what is going on with this team?
I get it, though. I mean, that's how like Papa Moon is. Papa Moon told me every Saturday, he'll be like, I'd be like, you ready to watch the Browns? He's like, dude, I just can't with that team. You know what? That man texted me at 2:30. I'm at the 9 to 5. He texted me Shador doing the perfect timing. I mean, I don't know, Double A. It's the same reason we talk about. And I'm sure, Rob, you've seen it too. Like people in the city and especially the people that are a lot older than us, they die hard with these sports teams. And don't get me wrong, I do too. But I think after seeing everything that my dad's seen as a Browns fan, Red Right 88, the drive, them moving the team, them bringing the team back. Did they bring the team back? Sometimes we wonder because most of the time they haven't brought a talented team. But dang, man, I think I'm going through a lot. And he went through 0-16, but all that other stuff too. Like, yeah, I get what you're saying, Double A. Like,
I don't know what you guys are talking about. My dad was a Lions fan, and we never knew. I think the last championship they won, the Korean War, was a thing. So, I know what you're talking about.
I'll tell you something real quick before we move on. When I was at BG, this was like fall of 2010. We're at our dorms, and like all of us have sports jerseys, whatever. So in our lobby, me, Browns fan, I sit down, and then BG's near Detroit, got a Lions fan. Somebody else sat down. There was a Cubs fan, a White Sox fan, and a couple others. And somebody sat down and blurted out, man, this is a coalition of losers.
Yeah, all you needed was like a Jets and a Leafs fan.
Yeah.
Bro, I'm telling you. Hey, you want to talk about some winning jerseys? I just found it was put away on the shelf, the Joe Hayden orange Cleveland Browns jersey that was hanging up in the studio we used to record in, that was gifted to me by our bro Omar. And I saw that, and you know what I just had to say? Got it on lock like Joe Hayden, man. Go ahead, Rob.
I don't even know where to go from there, but this is the main event here on the Inside Edge Podcasting Network. We're just going to go straight on through here while Double A's trying to figure out the meaning of life. But yeah, well, that was
that commercial.
we can hit the Browns over and over and over and over again because and again, you're right. With how many ways they have figured out to lose games, to lose seasons, to lose draft classes. It just seems to be over. And yes, I mean, we could talk about the defensive play when it counted. We could talk about, the fact that for whatever reason, the Browns just felt like they didn't need a receiver on the roster this year, but it is what it is, and it just seems like it's problems like that every year. And a lot of other teams face that too. It seems like a lot of other teams can't get it right. I just mentioned the Lions. They go down to the Packers 31-24. Double A, you said you wanted to talk to your dad on Thanksgiving about your football team. After that score, I can wait a year. That's fine. That was a big game the Lions and Packers had basically to figure out who was going to be the bridesmaid in the NFC North to go with Chicago, who's still rolling. More on those guys later. Mm-hmm. but the Packers end up coming up on top in a reasonably convincing win. They're now kind of in that catbird seat as the top wild card team. And that was pretty busy Thanksgiving Day when it was all said and done with that game. Chiefs and Cowboys. Somehow the Cowboys pulled that thing out at home. Somehow the Cowboys now have a better record than the Chiefs. I didn't think that was going to happen. And you even had the AFC North matchup with the Bengals and the Ravens. Joe Burrow's back, and he is not acting like a guy who is knocked out of the playoffs. So a lot of things on Thanksgiving Day and a lot of things happening today.
Double A, if you don't mind, my biggest takeaway of Thanksgiving Thursday, fellas, is that the Dallas Cowboys are going to win the NFC East. And that's just what it is. I mean, they got rid of Micah Parsons, and everybody clowned them. I mean, we all clowned them. Everybody. I couldn't believe it. But the fact that they made some moves on the offensive side of the football, when a lot of people didn't pay attention because of how big that Micah Parsons move was at trade, they got Javonte Williams. He's been a spark plug rushing the football.
Williams has been a huge part of that offense that's really made it
crazy. Javonte Williams, adding George Pickens. Rob, you're familiar with that guy, and it's a shame that you guys just didn't know how to use him. But Dallas is doing a really good job using them, and they are so explosive offensively that I don't know if they're going to stop anybody defensively, but they are going to score 38 to 40 points a game, and that's what it's going to come down to. While Philadelphia can't figure out how to get the ball to A.J. Brown enough times for him to not yell at the media.
The answer
Dallas
is
Cowboys
there's not enough catches that he could have. He could go for 27 catches for 345 yards and 6 touchdowns, and he's still going to be bitching about the ball he didn't get in the fourth quarter when they were up by 30.
It's just weird that he had one of his best games, I believe, this past week, and the Eagles lost. I mean, it's just, I don't know. What
That's
I know.
because the Philly fans booed after every play.
Double A. I know.
Come here to Cleveland. You want some issues. Oh, we have it bad. We only won the championship last year. Bring y'all behinds here, and we'll show you some freaking pain. We'll show you. Matter of fact, don't even bring up the Cavs score right now. We'll show you some pain. Get out of here with that, man.
Well, you got to understand, Double A. They only – I feel like Rozycki when I'm saying this. But, their team only went to the NLCS, in the World Series recently in baseball. And they just, only won the Super Bowl and have been to it quite a few times in the last 5 years. Did I do that pretty good, Rob?
Yeah, sounds about right. I mean, that's pretty much my defense as a Steelers fan for the last 30 years. So, yeah, I don't.
I'll say this about Kansas City. And Dallas was great. There was a thought in my mind. I saw on Twitter, somebody was like, man, we got to go back to having bad games on Thanksgiving, because it's back.
At least one.
These are good games. You got to actually pay attention for entertainment purposes, fantasy football purposes, for some parlays and stuff like that. You can't talk to families while Kansas City or Dallas is deciding their playoff fate.
Well, again, I will cite the Lions household I grew up in. That was kind of the nice thing about the 1:00 Lions game was that you could have, discussions and you can catch up while the Lions were getting shelled by Dan Marino, by 30 points, or Jim Kelly, or Peyton Manning, or and pick it was a nice list of quarterbacks for a while that would actually tune them up on Thanksgiving. And yeah, you could always have a conversation when they're down by 22. That's fine. Right. But yeah, I mean, when all of a sudden, it's a 1-score game in the fourth quarter, yeah, you're shitting bricks. And, a game, by the way, if you win, is going to put you back in a playoff spot. Yeah, and then you throw in, the AFC North matchup, the Chiefs and Cowboys playing the Tex Schramm Bowl, apparently. I mean, you had 3 kick-ass games kind of back to back to back.
By the way, I don't hate the Chiefs. I actually like them. I like them a lot more than other teams in the NFL. But it feels pretty good that they're going to miss the playoffs. It feels really good. They have no tiebreakers. They have no tiebreakers.
Oh, no. They'll have a tiebreaker once Roger Goodell works with the rule book and figures out what's happening here, yes.
I still think they make the playoffs.
They'll figure out, yes, the team that has the kicker who said women needs to be in the kitchen, that will be the person who the team that goes. By the way, despite the fact that the kicker's mom is a doctor. Okay, yeah, but yeah, something along that line. Or they'll give them the Swiftie discount or something along, whatever.
Is Taylor Swift still going to these games? I didn't see no shots of Taylor Swift lately.
Taylor Swift doesn't
honestly haven't
associate
been
with
looking or
losing.
giving a damn, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, she's gonna show up when they start winning. AA. Come on,
Are you
dude.
calling her a bandwagon fan? Is Taylor Swift a bandwagon fan?
Well, you know the
that
reality.
would be hilarious.
The reality of the situation is she's just a significant other of Travis Kelce this season until they start doing better. And then she is Taylor Swift. These
So
super
she's
mega
basically like
stars.
Simone Biles right now, who's just kind of like, oh, here's 3 token pictures of her, with the hubby before the game, and then we're going to call it a day.
Yo, she's putting out videos, and we got to get Christy and Autumn from our Jersey Chasers show. But like, she's putting out like preparing for game day videos. So like, you're going as a fan.
hey, get ready so you don't have to, or stay ready so you don't have to get ready. You know what I'm saying?
I know.
Like, all I know is, like I said, that on the Cowboys game, that was like my biggest takeaway overall of Thanksgiving Thursday. My other takeaway is I should have tried the Cajun turkey that my mom made for Thanksgiving. I didn't because I was so engulfed in these games.
Actually, I was just thinking, getting ready for game day and stuff like that with Simone Biles. Did you ever hear that Mike Leach story about his goal line strategy one time? He actually asked an assistant coach this.
Oh, no.
Not this one, no.
He thought, and again, in college, since you can dress like 190 people or whatever, he wanted to dress, and I don't know how to say this on a podcast, someone who has medical reasons for being far below average height. You know what I'm talking? Okay.
I got
That kind of, think somebody who is like Brad Williams, the stand-up comic. And he wanted to put, that person in pads and a helmet with the intention of on a 4th and short or a 4th and goal to hand the ball to said person and then whee.
Yeah.
And I think if you did that with an Olympic gymnast in Simone Biles, you might have something there. Because not only that, you could have her jump about 9 feet in the air. Now, is the landing going to be pretty? Probably not, but you're going to get the first down.
No, you just got to get some scores. That's
just get some yards, and then she'll have something to get ready for.
Her boyfriend plays for the Raiders, right? I'm not mistaken.
I think it's the Packers, right?
Packers, am I tripping?
Packers,
okay,
Bears, somewhere.
I thought
think
it was
it's an NFC team.
Okay. I was going to say,
let's all pretend that we don't have computers in front of us and probably can't find that information.
Try to do it, straight off from memory, And I was just going to say, if it was
Jonathan Owens, that's the guy's name.
Yeah, and here's the thing: if it was the Raiders, all I was going to say is who would want to play for the Raiders, but that's
you don't want to play for the Raiders. You have to play for the Raiders.
Correct.
Yeah. Hey, Rob, you brought up the Cincinnati Bengals. Are the Cincinnati Bengals the scariest team in the AFC North with a healthy Joe Burrow?
They could be. I mean, no, not the AFC North, the AFC. They scary because they're going to be coming up, and Joe Burrow, he has the confidence of somebody who doesn't feel like he's knocked out of the playoffs yet. He has that starting quarterback energy of being able to hold you and tell you everything's going to be okay. They got another game against Baltimore coming up. They finish out with Cleveland. You got Miami and Arizona in there too, so you got a couple of winnable games. Buffalo's next week, so that's going to be the first big test for Joe. Obviously Lamar was too, but that's going to be Josh Allen. They're going to be coming off a win against the Steelers. Yeah, so I think with the way the schedule's kind of shaken, if they could beat Baltimore again, and Baltimore and Pittsburgh obviously do not look like gangbusters here, Joe Burrow could be in the playoffs very, very quickly, and then Joe's in the playoffs. I don't know what's going to happen because remember, during Patrick Mahomes' epic run here with Super Bowls, he was the only AFC quarterback to beat Patty in the playoffs. So he's in there. You got to pay attention.
And that's the thing. All those Cincinnati players, skilled players, they're all healthy too. Like all of them are healthy. So
T. Higgins was fighting a concussion, but other than that, they're I think they're all systems go.
Yeah, so that's going to be, and that's again another story throughout December and into January. We're going to talk about these newcomers in the playoffs. Well, if Cincinnati comes to town and Joe Burrow comes to your stadium, you got to outplay him. So that's going to be big. That's going to be big time.
Yeah, and the other thing too, I'm not trying to tie the two teams together, but they both have very pitiful defenses, but very, very exciting offenses. And that's Cincy and Dallas. We just talked about Dallas, but Cincy the same
Oh,
way.
if we can get that Super Bowl, that would be amazing.
Come on, man. I'm just saying.
Over-under set at 72.
I'm hammering the over. I mean, we don't bet
I'll
here, but-
I don't know. They might put a number up there that you can't hammer.
What's the highest over-under in Super Bowl history? They
I don't know. It's going to be higher than a Britney Spears Instagram video, though.
That
It's
probably
cool.
I mean, like how crazy is it that like we're talking about a team, and I know we joked about the Browns being in the hunt, but like the Bengals really, like Rob said in AA, you hammered it home too. It's like they could be one of the scariest teams in the AFC right now because it's not like much has changed. They didn't get better on defense over the offseason. Defense has been what it's been last 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. It's like, but this is an exciting offense, and they thought they lost something. Everybody was like, well, when they lost Mixon, the running game isn't there. Chase Brown is developing into one of the better running backs in the league.
And let me put this one out here for you too. There's 5 games to go. Mm-hmm. They're 2 back. They're sitting at 4-8. The other 2 teams are at 6-6, and they actually have a better division record than the other 2 teams right now. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think it's crazy to think that Cincinnati could win this division. I really don't. And I think for me to say that as a fan of the black and gold and the carbon dated quarterback that we have, but yeah, I think, and if Joe gets in, man. It's going to be a bunch of 41-38 games, but those are games that Joey can win.
Yeah, and I think we've got down to the bottom of it. NBC wanted to show fair treatment to the Cleveland Browns. Okay. Technically, when the night started, Cleveland and Cincinnati had the same record on Thanksgiving night. So if we're going to put Cincinnati in the hunt, had to put Cleveland. Nobody here in Cleveland was thinking.
Okay, so they're being inclusive, is what you're saying. Is that
is 100% correct? The
Cleveland was a DEI spot in the graphic.
The Peacock thing includes all. By the way, I want to ask you guys this. Mm-hmm. Do you guys take the Bears seriously?
I don't know.
It's like every time you want to, they double doink their way out of like me believing in them, and they haven't done that yet this year, which makes me think it's coming. But I don't know, man. I think Ben Johnson is showing why Detroit was a lot more exciting. I get they're still scoring points in Detroit, and
the consistency is gone in Detroit. That's
correct. That's and the exciting and like catch you on your toes, and that's what Ben Johnson is bringing to Chicago. And I think we talked about it before. I know Caleb Williams looked really good, but really Ben Johnson is the reason for this motion in Chicago because he's not only brought out the development of Caleb Williams, but also got something out of DeAndre Swift. I'm not saying he's top 10 back, but you're getting more out of him than most coaches have in the NFL. You're having these young guys like Odunze and DJ Moore still trying to contribute. Colson Loveland at tight end. They're an exciting team. And Ben Johnson is having a lot of fun with that offense. That's just what it is. They feel like a team of destiny, Double A, to answer your point. They feel like a team of destiny. I would not slot them into the NFC Championship right now, but they've given you every reason to do that. Record-wise, the wins they have, and the coach they have was just making a run in the NFC playoffs last year.
In their backfield, I think it's really good. That rookie they got there, I think he's going to be something special. I really do.
Yeah.
Well, and the issue is too, and I don't know if you guys know this yet. They haven't played the Packers yet. We got this far into the season, 13 weeks in, and they haven't played the Packers yet. They got Green Bay next week in Lambeau, and then a week at 2 out of 3, basically, they're playing Green Bay. Luckily enough for them, they got a cupcake in the middle of them, the Cleveland Browns.
That's easy, buddy.
Our defense will play them tough on first and second down.
Yeah, well, and I think that'll be a good test for Caleb to kind of really deal with that, an elite defensive, because no matter what you want to say about the Cleveland Browns, they have an elite defensive line. So,
and you joke
with that, but
you joke about Cupcake Game real quick, right? I used to joke about Cupcake Game. Those are the type of games the Chicago Bears lose though. In history, like the makeup of the last 20 years, those are games that good Bears teams will lose.
Well, but the thing is, and that's why you go back to Ben Johnson right now. Like it seems to me, and it happens with a lot of, big, Andy Reid out in Kansas City was kind of what the whole thing kind of shifts when you bring that guy in. And all of the old rules that you had about, okay, this is the Jets being the Jets, this is the Lions being the Lions, this is the Browns being the Browns, the Bears being the Bears. Because you got to realize, too, one thing the Bears always were pretty good at, we're not having a 4,000-yard passer. I haven't looked directly at the stats this time around. How close is Caleb? He's about 2,700 yards, and he's got 5 games to do it. So these are things that are kind of going away with previous Bears expectations, with previous Bears deals here, and they haven't lost in 6 weeks. You know, they're the bona fide number 1 seed right now as we're talking in the NFC, and they have a chance over the next 3 weeks. Cleveland game, all joking aside, but in the next 3 weeks, they have a chance to really put a death nail in that division and punch their ticket. Not just at the end of the season, but they're going to have 2 or 3 weeks to kind of just hone this in. They went from the Eberflus team that pissed away a Thanksgiving Day game last year to now a team that's could be potentially sitting starters in Week 18 just to give these guys a little bit of time off.
They could be the number 1 seed.
They are right now.
Yeah, in the NFC, which is nuts. Nuts.
But AA, Rob, I don't think the Bears, and I mean this respectfully, because they've done everything. Like I said, everything matches up. Record-wise, the offense is exciting. They got a great coach in Ben Johnson, who was given that like McVay energy when McVay first jumped into the head coaching role in Los Angeles. There's something about it that just says I'm not intimidated if I'm an NFC team going into Chicago in week 2 of the playoffs. If I'm a Philadelphia, a Dallas, I was going to say one of these teams, I'm not intimidated.
What if they go into Lambeau next week on the road in a very important game and beat the Green Bay?
I have that same question.
It has to be convincing.
What if better question, over the next 3 weeks, what if they take both out of, what if they sweep Green Bay over the next 3 weeks?
Then you have my word that I would change my opinion.
Okay.
The Bears have sold.
That's fair.
But until then, because you even brought it up, they have not played the other. I'll say right now, the Packers are the second best team in the NFC North, and I know I get it. They just played Detroit and beat them, but I'm just standing on that. These are the 2 best teams, Packers and Bears. So if they can convincingly, which is just take both over the Packers, then then Chicago, they might be making some noise. But until then, right now where I stand, I think a team that's like a 6 or a 7 team or whatever, one of these lower teams that get into the second round, they would love Chicago.
Well, and while we're talking about teams, and we got a few more minutes left here for the NFL Roundtable section here. Teams by AA.
Yeah, he's back, I think. Hey, there he is!
Talking about teams, that we're wondering about right now. And I know they're currently not in the playoffs as we speak. They are on the outside looking in, but they're 7-6. Can we continue to say lost to the Carolina Panthers and use that as an insult? Or is this team actually turning something around here and looking? I'm not saying they're going to be a Super Bowl team this year, but is this team now finally, for the first time in recent memory, trending up?
Yes. They are trending upwards for the future. As far as this season, will the real Carolina Panthers please stand up? Because was it you last week against San Francisco, or was it you today against the Los Angeles Rams? I don't get it,
Or was it the 17-7 loss they had against the Saints?
Right, or the win. They just keep winning and
or the
losing.
40-9 win on they got beat by. They beat Green Bay 16-13.
AA. What to make of these Carolina Panthers right now?
It's a week-to-week conversation. What they're learning. They're learning how to. It's the right way of learning how to handle expectations on a week-to-week basis. I don't think teams are not showing up. That was a great game today with the Rams and Panthers. That was a phenomenal game. But Carolina is learning how to win, and that is not something that you do each and every single week. So I thought that was a huge win for Carolina. Week to week, right? They got to go for winning 2 in a row, 3 in a row. That's the goal right now. But I thought they handled the shootout, and defensively, they kind of contained Matthew Stafford just a little bit, a couple of interceptions.
When we say he doubled his interception total on the season today.
Yeah,
he
did.
2 walking in. He had 2 today. And they basically beat the best team in the NFC today.
And that's the thing. So the one thing you can – Carolina's defense can stand on business with this. Stafford had 2 interceptions today. Brock Purdy had 3 last week. So against top NFC competition, your defense caught 5 interceptions. So defensively, Carolina's the real deal, and they can make critical stops even if the scoreboard says otherwise. It's just the offense needs to be consistent.
And you want to talk about another team to go along with the Bears, too, that the schedule kind of helps them out. You look at that; they have New Orleans coming up. Okay, the AFC or the NFC South, it just in general, I think helps any decent team out in there, Tampa Bay included. But speaking of Tampa Bay, they got 2 out of their last 3 against Tampa Bay, and both teams are sitting. Tampa Bay right now 7-5, Carolina 7-6. So Carolina still has a very, very realistic chance at winning this division, which I as you can see, I'm having issues saying with a straight face. And I think hats off to everybody there for making chicken salad out of chicken shit, because I think, before the season started, you had a lot of pundits saying, when does Carolina move away from the quarterback? When do they, scrap everything and rebuild it again? And I think Bryce Young out there said, you know what? Yeah, you can wait about 15 years on that motherfucker.
I will stand with what I said. The Carolina Panthers, though they confuse me so much, they are still going to win this division. I will stand with that. They are going to win this division. And I was shocked to see Baker playing today. We talked about the Buccaneers. I was shocked to see Baker because he was talking about earlier in the week, maybe sitting out. Kind of just learning from his past, hey, I'm not going to make this worse. He did play today and they won. I get it. But what scares me about, Baker is we've seen it before in Cleveland. If he plays on an injury that is already acting up, I obviously we don't wish injury, but it could get where we're having a hobbled Baker Mayfield against a rising Carolina Panthers team. And they play, like we mentioned, twice. They still got they still play 2 of the last 3 against each other. So I think Carolina's winning the division. I don't know if they make a big run, but it would be really good for that franchise to get back into the playoffs with maybe their guy in Bryce Young. I'm all for bad teams becoming good for sure. And the NFL definitely needs that. But we have full docket of NFL today going on with the Thanksgiving stuff. We got Jags and Titans. Jags take the Titans 25-3. Texans and Colts. The Texans actually on the road go to Indy. They beat the Colts 20-16. Indianapolis now 8-4 on the season. I don't think they're quite the darlings they were maybe even a month ago. Dolphins over the Saints 21-7. Dolphins hold shop at home. The Jets in an entertaining game between 2 bad teams, which I think the Browns could be playing next week for sure when they got the Titans. 27-24 over the Atlanta Falcons. I think both teams are just waiting for those seasons to be done. You mentioned Baker. They take out the Cardinals. Tampa Bay does 20-17. And then, with the surprise of the day, 31-28, the Panthers overtake the Rams. And somehow, yes, they are still in the conversation. And then to round out today, you got the Vikings and the Seahawks. Seattle just shelled the Vikings 26 points, and your quarterback doesn't do anything. That's kind of amazing, actually. And me and AA as fantasy owners of Mr. Darnold, I think we got some opinions on that. And then the West Coast game that nobody really was keeping an eye on today, but still happened nonetheless. The LA Chargers, Las Vegas Raiders. Chargers win that 31-14. They remain in the conversation out in the West, too, especially with everything kind of spiraling around. But before we get out of our NFL section of our program here, with any of Saturday or Sunday's games here, did anything stick out to you, gentlemen? I think we covered a lot of it. I think it's going to be interesting to keep an eye on some of these teams that, Rob, we talked about under the radar, but, they still are teams that might sneak up here in a few more weeks when we're talking about playoff darlings. And I think the Chargers have hung around just enough to be exciting. You mentioned them as the last team here, but they have hung around just enough to be exciting, I think, come playoff time. That's what excites me, the fact that they literally have been using, Kamani Vidal as their starting running back. The guy wasn't even being considered a backup, I think, at the beginning of the year. Like, they lose Amari on Hampton.
Yeah.
But that's my takeaway. AA.
My takeaway is going to be December in the National Football League is going to be so exciting. And because all of these divisional games that are on the schedule, and we're talking about what I would say unproven heavyweights are going to face off. We mentioned Chicago and Green Bay, 2 matchups in 3 weeks. It's almost, what's going to happen with the AFC North. Like, that's going to be nuts. Carolina and Tampa. So, like, all of these, like, what I would call unproven heavyweights, they're going to face off multiple times in December, early January. And I think that's going to be huge. It's almost as close. I know in football, you don't have like best of 5 series, best of whatever series, but it's kind of close to it when you have Green Bay and Chicago. How do they look in a best of 2 series in December? Like, that's going to be exciting.
For me personally, I'm going to keep an eye on the Steelers' race to number 9. They got 5 games left. They got to win 3 of them so they can clinch up the loved streak in Pittsburgh of another year of a winning season. We'll see if it happens, though, because they got Baltimore twice. They got Cleveland. They got Miami and Detroit. So it could happen, but we shall see. That's what I'm keeping an eye on. And the other thing that as a fellow AFC North fan, I do feel bad for you guys. And this is nothing. This is just purely bad luck with the Browns. The year that the Jacksonville Jaguars get their shit together is the year that you have their first-round pick. I just feel bad about that. Again, there's nothing you could really do, but that's unfortunate for you guys because that might be a only in Cleveland kind of situation.
I have one more thing. You guys brought up Darnold. I might be the biggest dumbass in fantasy football.
You could be. I'm sorry.
Traded
fantasy football, maybe.
Look, man, just fantasy football. But Rashee Rice, multiple firsts and seconds for Justin Jefferson. Sounds great in anybody's mind that is getting the number 1 receiver in football. You know what Justin Jefferson's debut, and there's no shade towards Justin Jefferson. I'm excited. Welcome to the team. We'll have many championships won. Maybe not this year after that shit I pulled. But negative 0.4. That is what Justin Jefferson got me today. Congratulations to Jack John Archimish, who is whooping my ass, I'm sure, as we speak. That is my final takeaway. Great move, Moon. You only could have just went to the championship again and just kept your team. But, you get excited and I'm deleting the app. I'm just not going to open it again until
Dude, you're like the 3 seed.
I am like the Indianapolis Colts of this league right now.
Hey.
You know who I am?
At least you can make your trades, man. Good job on that one. I give you a hand.
You know who I am in our league? I'm like the Atlanta Hawks. I mean, we're locked in that 8th seed. I almost want to fall out so we at least get a top 6 pick.
AA.
And Tim Whalen is the Jacksonville of our league.
You were making so many good points, but I can't let Rob just slide that under about the trade deadline being at midnight. We are 53 minutes into the show. I would have sent if I would have known you were doing that, I would have sent the pre-show. When our awesome commissioner, Jack John, told us earlier in the day on Sunday.
Yes.
That it would be decided. I think he even said that on Monday, that it would be decided after the Monday night games. And that streaming may affect that. It seems like every single other person in the league caught on to that.
I did.
Except for one. And
when I hit send with 3 minutes to go in the game, that was the last thing I thought was going to happen, my friend.
Are you mad that you didn't get Jerry Jeudy for a 5th? Because double A getting a 5th for Jerry Jeudy is still crazy.
No, I had 2 first-round picks coming, so yeah, that was
all right.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a problem.
Because
I know, and we strive for realism in our fantasy league, and we will get back to the conversation here. We got the Buckeyes up next. Yes. I know we strive for realization in our realism here in our fantasy league. Yeah. So I do know that the Major League Baseball trade deadline is typically when the last out of the last game on the West Coast happens, because that is never at 4:00 on the 31st of July. The NBA, I know they wait until the final whistle blows on the West Coast. It's never, like at Valentine's Day at midnight or anything. So I can understand why we set our trade deadline to like the second time Joe Buck coughs in the first quarter. We a very, very stringent, arbitrary point in time that would not be isn't affected by streaming at all. I mean, that makes sense.
Just say that you were Hugh Jackson, your fax machine didn't work at the station, man.
Yeah,
all right, man.
No, I was running a radio show on a 50,000 watt station, dealing with a radio host and a Cavs game, and still sending these trades out. And I thought I had 3 minutes to go, so I humbly apologize. I will try to see if we can get better internet at my Overlord radio company to accommodate our fantasy football league schedule.
Now I'm gonna keep my comment to myself.
yeah. Moving on.
For the record, we're still waiting on cable. So yes, back to the Buckeyes.
Yeah, that's why we're gonna move on.
Actually, the Buckeyes on a game that, since I was at the station, I could not watch because it was on Fox. The Buckeyes, they win 27-9 over the Michigan State Wolverines. Nobody got pepper sprayed at the end of the game, so good job, everybody, on that one. And good job to Ryan Day and this damn team for shutting up the conversation on, well, we got to fire him if he beats Michigan. I don't care how many national titles he wins because I'm rooting for the Buckeyes back in 1972. Go Archie. But the Buckeyes now, they are poised for a Big Ten title game against Indiana and Kirk Cignetti here. I cannot honestly, if you would have asked 3 years ago, Buckeyes and Hoosiers, I think people would have rolled their eyes, maybe thinking it was a Big Ten basketball tournament game. But nonetheless, here we are. And even that being said, if we want to make fun of the whole situation a little bit, Indiana is going to be Ohio State's biggest test since week 1 of the season. And I think we're actually, with both of these teams now, going to see if these guys are for real or if this was all, hey, we can kick the shit out of Rutgers for the last 2 months, but when we play anybody good, let's see what happens.
Well, the first step was Michigan, right? Like, that was the first step. Like, you got to go in. And I was a little worried earlier at the beginning of the game because Ohio State had the same red zone issues at the goal line that they have had previously, and Michigan was dominating. But Ohio State obviously needed that victory. But Rob, to your point, and it's a 1 versus 2 matchup, Ohio State, Indiana, and people are going to say that matchup's not important. And in the grand scheme of the college football playoff, it probably isn't important. The winner will get that first round bye. The loser might still get a first round bye. I don't know.
That's what I was going to say. I think this game is going to be more for positioning in the tournament. Bye, home game, that kind of stuff.
But the bigger you're right. I think the bigger conversation with Ohio State, and if you're a Texas A&M fan today or some of these other teams, the Big Ten and the SEC, they're so huge. They created a problem. They created a problem where, hey, when your schedule comes out, it looks good. You have Penn State. You have some of these other teams. And all of a sudden, you get through your whole schedule and you realize you have not faced, like, the other 5 best teams in your own conference.
For like 3 years.
You have a weak schedule.
Yeah. I think, too, the big thing, first off, shout out Lil Bro Austin with the Buckeyes winning. You guys know I was not necessarily the biggest Buckeyes fan for many years.
Hey, Michigan State players are coached today.
Yeah, you know what? Here's the thing, man. Basketball season's going in. They're ranked.
Hey, you guys got Pat Fitzgerald, right?
Yeah. Look, man, we'll talk about football when we'll talk about football later. Okay?
He's smart at least.
Okay. All right. So shout out Lil Bro Austin because, like I said, he's going there at Ohio State and he's kicking ass there in school. So cool, good for him, and good for Ohio State. So I will always have a soft spot now because of him. So that's awesome. But I think what I would like to take away from this is Indiana. We did bring them up, and not necessarily the game, guys. I kind of want to go grand scheme or big picture here. Man, how smart is Indiana University for signing Kirk Cignetti to that big contract? Earlier. I mean, like, they could have an Ole Miss situation on their hands if they don't take care of that, or situations. I mean, that great on Indiana because they are. I mean, this isn't just going to be. I don't think is going to be the only time they play Ohio State in the next few years in a big game. Well, I think Kirk Cignetti is that dude, and just seeing everything, especially just today in coaching landscape, Man, Indiana took care of theirs.
Well, and it's weird because it might not be the only time that Cignetti and Ryan Day face this year when they get down to it. I mean, that could be, they could get a rematch pretty quickly on that one. And but to your point with Cignetti, yeah, they did a great job locking him up long term. I think it's a 12-year deal or something like that. He is definitely a girl you take home to mom, wifey material. There are some other coaches out there that have resemble a little bit more closer to gardening implements or somehow some other things out there. Maybe girls you don't want to take home to mom. It seems like Indiana, they locked up a good candidate that's going to be there forever. That's going to be dependable. That's a sturdy candidate. And some other schools, they like to go with the crazy blonde that's going to key your car when you break up, and they get surprised when the car gets keyed. So yeah, we have Indiana looks like they're doing things right. Other schools maybe not, but it looks like Indiana's at least going to be having a guaranteed playoff berth because of it. The other school, not so much.
I guess if we're going to transition to Lane Kiffin, I'm assuming.
Oh, we're talking about Lane. Yeah.
I guess if we're talking getting key, but you almost in college football, you got to pop the question. You got to pop the question and put the ring on it and lock in because listen, Lane Kiffin looks terrible in this situation on the base.
Oh, yeah.
He looks terrible. He it's just not good. But on the surface, my face might have frozen up. I don't know.
Yeah, you froze.
But you can still hear me, so I'm still making a good point.
You are.
Okay, so
bye.
Oh, he's here. He's just audio.
Okay.
Well, Double is getting all this together. For those of you who haven't seen the headlines today, Lane Kiffin agreed to a long-term contract with the Louisiana State University Tigers, replacing Brian Kelly and that whole mess. LSU was very hesitant on spending a lot of big money after a big buyout with Brian Kelly and a lot of money having to go to assistant coaches. So naturally, they're going to pay him $12 million a year for the next 7 years, whether or not this thing works out or not. And the main issue is that Ole Miss is now a former school, is very alive and well in the college football playoff race. They were about a game out of the SEC championship. I believe they were a Auburn win away from making the title game in the SEC. And right now, you got a bunch of players who are coachless because it looks like Lane Kiffin's taken most of his offensive staff with him. And right now, you have a team with Ole Miss that doesn't quite know who the head coach is if they have to go to the playoffs and play a very, very important game. And that prompted a podcaster to go out and say that, you can't turn, what was it? You can't turn a wife material into hoe, or you can't turn a hoe into a wife.
Yeah,
and
a housewife.
That's kind of what happened over there. So
you can't say that, though. I'm just saying.
I think that's completely fair.
No, you can't say that. I mean, then Lane Kiffin is completely fair in his response too. The coaching decision, how this looks on him, decide like you can't call another man a hoe without expecting him to come see you like that reporter. And that reporter shelled up. That's all I'm saying. You can't. You if you're a reporter, we're supposed to be the most elegant with words as reporters are.
I thought he was very elegant with the language. I thought he made his point very well.
No, I think you could word it a little bit better. From somebody who used to write, like I said, I'm not a reporter now, but from writing, there's a lot more elegant ways to put it and still get your point across. So I'm cool with Lane Kiffin getting in his face, but the coaching decision.
Well, hoes don't like being called hoes. That's normally a pretty good rule. But yeah, I do get that.
I'm just saying, you call him another man a hoe in front of it, on typing, and he gets in your face, and you sit there and you get quiet. Who's really the hoe? Anyway,
I'll just say this: if you usually got to take it outside. You got to take it inside. Oh, you catch a beat down.
I don't agree with I don't agree with Lane Kiffin ditching Ole Miss. I think that's wrong, and I think LSU might be in a situation where they regret this in a few years, considering they're regretting a lot of things they've done coaching wise. I'm just saying I don't agree with the terminology the guy used. That's where I'm at.
I just think overall, Ole Miss. We talked a couple minutes ago about Indiana. Ole Miss had an opportunity to lock up Lane Kiffin, and they did it. You know, they did it. It's more important.
They were prepared to offer him a matching contract or whatever he was going to get from Florida or LSU.
Matching ain't good
Money
enough.
was not an issue.
Yeah.
He needed a raise.
He needed – with Ole Miss, no disrespect to Ole Miss, matching is not good enough. You needed to super serve Lane Kiffin. And ultimately, you got to feel, too, that is it worth it to have a name brand head coach at your university? Indiana is saying yes. And Indiana is going to compete for a national title for years to come. Where does Ole Miss fall in that category? I don't know. But it is tough, though. It's like, other than Ole Miss made one mistake, and that's not offering Lane Kiffin a higher contract. Everything else, like, dude, you're looking at LSU right now. Yes, you need to make your decision right now. No, you cannot coach this team during the playoff while you're gonna be with LSU. Yeah. No. Yeah. Yes, you need to, figure out whether or not your assistant coaches will be here or not, or else we're moving on. It
looks like the defensive coordinator is going to be taking over, and they actually said permanent head coach. He got promoted. Right. Like there's no interim about this. But yeah, I mean,
is that the right call though? Because Rob, we talked before we came on the air again about Michigan and about their coach. And if their coach, I'm not saying it's it's one game or anything like that. Let's just say for whatever reason, Coach Moore over in Michigan was fired, or was looking for a new job. Would any top program in college football hire Sharon Moore to be their head coach? Would Penn State hire him?
Well, no, probably not. He would be going down a few steps, maybe to D2, maybe to a low D1 school. But I understand why Ole Miss did what they did. You have a roster that feels abandoned, and justly so, because these guys, I don't know if they can leave yet or not. The transfer portal doesn't open up for a couple of weeks. And, even if you can, do you want to? This is why you're here. You're here to play for a championship. So, what do you really want to do with that? And you have a coach that just completely assed off on his team. And Eli, I understand you would rather have different language used, but what he did was a hoe move. What he did was a bitch move. He did what Bobby Petrino did, basically in Atlanta, leaving a note for his team saying, hey, I found a better job. I don't give a shit that's in the regular season or not. I got to get going. And for a dude, and I did some research here. I did write a couple of things down. I'm going to give you two records here. 13-23 and 16-36. Those collectively, Kiffin is 13-25 against ranked opponents. James Franklin is 16-36. So what did LSU actually hire? What did LSU actually bring to the table? They brought in a lot of hype. They brought in a lot of attention, which is exactly what they did with Brian Kelly. But I'm just trying to figure out, and I hand it to Lane for the business aspect. The man's become the hottest coaching candidate in college football without winning a goddamn thing. So, great with that. But, again, I think it's easier to kind of get mad at the system in college football by letting these guys leave. Never mind that, and we've talked about this in other sports, he signed a contract to coach this team for the full season, and he did not do that, which I'm trying to figure out how that's cool and justified.
Well, according to the NCAA, he did coach a full season.
Right.
In the NCAA regulations, the college football season's over. Yeah. Everything else, postseason stuff.
Well, the whole question though is does the contract recognize the NCAA, the college football playoff, the NAACP, the UAW? What does it recognize? We don't know. But at the same time, the season by common sense stakes is not done yet. It is not done yet. We all know this. We're going to be watching the college football playoff. It's not done yet. And it's a whole lot easier to blame a system that doesn't have a face, that doesn't have a name, that doesn't have any sort of actual responsibility in this situation. You can't point at somebody when you blame the system and say it's that bastard's fault. It's a lot easier to blame that system than lameness to actually take personal responsibility over abandoning a locker room right before they were supposed to play some pretty big games. And LSU, whatever you get in this, and you can even say this with Ole Miss, because Lane Kiffin was not a virgin bride before Ole Miss. If we want to keep on using the hoe and housewife analogy here, he was not. You knew what Lane Kiffin was about. You knew that it was going to be a great time while you were together, but something was probably going to be on fire when you broke up. So Ole Miss, to a point, they should have understood this was going to kind of come in, maybe not this way, but LSU, you better understand that, if the NFL comes a knocking, if Alabama comes a knocking, if any of these big time schools, you're gone, motherfucker. And you better not be mad about it. You better not be angry about it, because you know what you signed up for.
Yeah, but to A's point, Ole Miss could have offered him more money too. They decided to match instead of offering money. And to A's point, just to hammer it home, go out and get your guy. Like, would Lane Kiffin have stayed if they paid him more money? Who knows? We'll never know. He's an LSU head coach now, so we'll never know. But Ole Miss could have got their guy, and they did not pay their guy. And that's what it comes down to, and I get it. It's not ideal. He didn't sit there and just up and leave him for the season. He tried to say, hey, I want to coach the playoffs with the guys I have on this team, because I have coached to this record, to this team, and then I'm out. Because at the end of the day, we talk about it all the time with college football and college sports in general. It's pretty much becoming where it's a wild, wild west. Everybody goes wherever they want to go. So why not let him conclude his season with his players that are probably going to LSU with him anyways, and let him finish out what he started?
I'm sorry, Eli, real quick. Here's the other question. I don't even know if you knew you just presented a question. How many of those Ole Miss players, since they're going to go with Lane Kiffin to LSU, how many are leaving right now?
Well, it just depends. It depends. It depends what happens once the College Football Playoff Committee probably decides that they're not in because of this news. Then they're probably all probably leaving. And that's what it is. But what I'm saying is, if Ole Miss, and I'm not putting full blame on Ole Miss, Rob, but I am saying if Ole Miss, where this isn't 10, 15, 20 years ago in college football, the landscape has changed. He's made his decision. He's also said, hey, I'll sit here and coach, though, because I did guide these guys, and I'll finish my obligation for the season through the playoffs. He didn't sit there and go, I'm not doing it either, by the way. I gotta get to LSU. He did say he would do that, and they denied him. Ole Miss denied him the ability to do that. And so, I mean, what else is he supposed to do? I'm not going to fault somebody for going and getting more money at a university that he feels is a better opportunity. Has Lane Kiffin been passed around quite a bit in college football? Sure. Will we see if it works out for LSU? Sure. But is there also a thing to be said that he has turned Ole Miss into the most prominent they've been in the last 15 years? People are talking about Ole Miss more this season than they talked about him in the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years. So he's done.
Yeah, and it all got destroyed in the last 2 weeks.
But he's done a great job with Ole Miss. And that at the end of the day, he should have been able to finish it. That is the one thing I feel too. If he presented the opportunity to finish out with these guys that are probably, like AA said, aren't going to be with Ole Miss regardless because he's gone, and they recruited to Lane Kiffin, not Ole Miss. They recruited to play at Ole Miss for Lane Kiffin. Then they should have been able to finish this out.
Well, if they're in the playoff, and this is just the schedule, this is not opinion. If they get into the playoff, even if they want to, they technically can't leave. The transfer portal opens up on the 2nd of January. So if they're in the playoff, they're going to have at least 2 rounds, 2 or 3 rounds before that, or whatever it's going to be. I think January 2nd, I think the only thing after that would be the championship game. Mm-hmm. So they are at least, they're at least bureaucratically a part of Ole Miss football until January 2nd. So I don't know if maybe they could have a sudden rash of hamstring injuries and bad backs, who knows? But it just puts everybody in a shit situation. And I'm not blaming the coach for going to get more money. That is the American way. Money equals happiness, and it doesn't matter what you're doing right now, as if you can get 1 nickel more across the street, then we are just going to completely burn whatever we have down to go get that other nickel. That is the American way. I get it. But the college football, and again, I'm going to start getting it mad on the system here too. And Lane Kiffin is a snake oil salesman. He is a con man. He is a gardening implement. Bros before hoes, motherfucker. But the system needs to get fixed where you cannot make something like this happen in this time of year. Like, could you imagine if, okay, I'm Jerry Jones in Dallas and I'm tired of, the head coach out there, Schottenheimer, and I'm going to sit here and look at, oh God, try to find a coach who has a year left, one more year on his contract. Somebody who's a lame duck head coach.
Kevin Stefanski.
Hey, Andy Reid, whatever. I know you're going to the playoffs, but do you want $50 million a year to come back down here to Dallas and say fuck off to Patty Mahomes? Because on Eli's theory, Andy Reid would have to do that because it's more money and we don't need to care about any of the situation that we're under. And there is no personal responsibility in the name of capitalism.
That's not my theory, though. Let's be very clear. Let's not put words in others' mouths.
But what would happen in the pros if that happened?
But that's not my theory. So before we expand upon that, let's be very clear. It wasn't just the money. As I said in my statement, Lane Kiffin obviously for some reason views LSU as a better option for him. And notoriously speaking, from just looking, or historically speaking, from where these two colleges have been, players typically flock more to LSU. That's just what it is. So if
it's the only state in Louisiana. It has a very good recruiting base, a lot of talent there, and there's no competition compared to Ole Miss and the University of Mississippi. There's a little bit more of a fight there. Yeah.
Right. So it sounds like there's more than just money that impacted his decision. So that's what I want to say. I get what you're saying to the pro debate, but we keep talking about it. AA said the NCAA football season is over in the eyes of the NCAA. Lane Kiffin.
We need to fix that.
Lane Kiffin, you're trying to put it all on him, and I get it. He's done some crazy stuff. He offered to finish the season with his guys. So, I mean, it is what it is.
He didn't have to sign the contract with LSU until his team was out. That's the other thing. He didn't have to sign his contract today. He didn't have to sign his contract
Ole Miss gave him the ultimatum. Yes, he did. Yes, he sure did. They gave him the ultimatum. They actually tried to make it before the Egg Bowl against Mississippi State. So, yes, they did give him an ultimatum. Ole Miss
put down the ultimatum before the Egg Bowl saying, should you stay or should you go?
Right.
It wasn't LSU putting that down. If I'm Lane Kiffin and you want me that bad, you can wait 2 weeks.
Well,
no, they couldn't.
They clearly couldn't. And we see how it played out.
You don't want me that bad.
No, it's not that. And like I said, we're making it out to be all on Lane Kiffin when Ole Miss could have ponied up at the beginning of this discussion where AA said you want the girl put a ring on her finger, and they didn't. So Lane Kiffin walked and found somebody that he'd rather spend some time with. And at the end of the day, Lane Kiffin, let's not forget this, offered to finish the season with his guys, where NCAA football is becoming more like college basketball, and it is becoming one and done. You go to a different school, whatever. You're going different spots. He offered to finish it with the core that he got to this point.
I would have not let him finish the season.
No.
I would have not, but
I'm not going to let somebody else's head coach finish my season.
But
he's the head coach of this season.
But at the
yes,
same
he is.
time,
he should have finished it. You just said it, right?
He offered to. They didn't want to.
At the same time, though, Ole Miss made the choice. Ole Miss.
Well, to your point here, and I'm just looking at this right now. New York Post, Sporting News, a couple of other spots have a report that Ole Miss offered about $1 million more per year.
Not enough. I mean, clearly.
I mean, it's not like it's state money or anything. It's not like it's taxpayer dollars.
Well,
but okay.
Clearly not enough.
Hold up. Then we got to get the governors involved because, like Louisiana with the LSU Brian Kelly firing, was the governor involved with Lane Kiffin. The other big thing, too, because I think we're stuck on looking at just the contract. It's also what are the resources that are being put in terms of facilities, as far as, recruitment, alumni help, opportunities, that kind of thing. Because, for example, if you're going for the Ohio State job, like the blue chip jobs, Ohio State, Alabama, the big USC, they have resources that an Ole Miss simply doesn't have as far as facilities.
I understand it.
That's part of it.
I understand it. And again, I'm not faulting him for taking the job. I'm faulting him for taking the job before the last one was done. That's where I'm at. By all accounts, dude, nobody, you can disagree with me all you want. Go online, read Marty Smith, read any of these college football writers. This thing is a 5-star shit show. And there could have been a way that Lane Kiffin, when he himself chose to change jobs, it is on him. He made the decision. He was tweeting out last night that last night was a difficult deal and he wished he could talk to his dad and so on and so forth. It's his decision. So, yes, I'm going to blame him for the fallout of that decision.
And I'm going to put him on Ole Miss.
Boy, he made it, so he is going to have to deal with the consequences.
Yeah, but
I think you, real quick, I think you both in a weird way are arguing the same thing. Like, in some way, shape, or form, he should have finished the season in some way, shape, or form. Season's done. It's over. Ole Miss didn't make the conference championship. In fact, Lane Kiffin waited to see, whether or not Alabama was going to lose that game so that Ole Miss, whether or not they were going to make the CFP or not. Season's over.
Wait. So the season's done. So what are these standings that I'm seeing published every Tuesday? 1 through 25. What's that all about? What's this bracket that I'm seeing? Is this an exhibition?
Because the NCAA, I see they're running a Division II championship, a Division III tournament, FCS. We could talk South Dakota or North Dakota State football right now. I got a hat in there. We could break that down, and they're actually doing a full bracket tournament. But not here. This is. So then
we don't need to talk college football for the rest of the year now that the season's done?
We could talk college football, but
the season's done. It's off season now.
That's the NCAA, which has very little power over Division I college football.
My point is that the season is clearly not over. If you ask ESPN, if you ask any of these TV providers, if you ask Ohio State fan didn't put their shit in the closet for the year. They still got some games to play.
Lane Kiffin took advantage of a loophole that many coaches before and since will take advantage of. Deion Sanders took advantage of this loophole when he went from Jackson State, who was competing for a championship, to go to Colorado. He did.
And all I'm asking is that we give some personal responsibility to Lane Kiffin to do it instead of saying, well, it was a better opportunity. What he was going to do.
Yeah, guess what?
I'm not saying that Lane Kiffin is an angel. I think he's an a-hole. I really do. I'm not saying that he's just an a-hole. I'm saying that he, just like the players, take advantage of a broken system. This is a broken system that until you get a commissioner, Nick Saban, to take over the business of college football, it is a free-for-all. You can do whatever you want. If you feel like another job is better than what you have right now, you don't have to put in your 2 weeks. Just walk across the street and start. That's it. And that's what Lane did.
Yep. And my final point on it, because I think we're just kind of spinning around in circles at this point, let it not be forgotten that Lane Kiffin did offer to finish the season. And I agree, he shouldn't have left. He should have whatever. Ole Miss also gave the ultimatum to make the decision for the Egg Bowl. So he had to make a decision. He's not going to leave money on the table. LSU's got to fill the slot. There's position they're eventually going to fill. So he had to make a move, made a move, offered to finish out the season. That's just what it is.
And I am reasonably sure that in the next 2 years, we're going to be talking buyout with him. And again, like, and this goes back to your point on Ole Miss. Like, Ole Miss knew what they were hiring when they hired him. He basically ran in the middle of the night out of FAU to get over there. They knew what Lane Kiffin was. He was the dude that got, that was fired by Al Davis, that got, that ran to USC in the middle of the night out of Knoxville, that got fired on the tarmac out in out at SC. Like, yes, they knew what they got. They knew that they got, when you get down to it, a truck stop hooker as the head coach. And you knew it was going to be a good weekend while it lasted. You were going to get your money's worth. But at the same point in time, you knew in the back of your head that, something was going to get set on fire when this thing broke up. So, Ole Miss knew what they got. And LSU, I think LSU, this is about and if I'm a citizen, and I understand it's football, so we don't care about stupid-ass things like education and childhood poverty and health care and all of those shit things that, other states would care about.
We're talking about real-life stuff, okay?
But, if I'm in LSU right now, after you just shelled out $50 million to Brian Kelly, You're now going to shell out $12.5 million a year to Lane Kiffin over the next 7 years, if he coaches you or not. And who knows? He might get a call from the Giants in a couple of days saying, "Hey, your old quarterback's up here, and we can get ahead. Would you like to be our head coach?" And he could just leave LSU 10 minutes after the press conference because you know what? A better opportunity is a better opportunity. More money is more money. Who actually gives a shit about things like personal word and promises and contracts and signatures and actual credibility as a human being? We need to go out and get that extra $45,000.
His promise was to the players. His promise was to the players, who most of them are probably going to go to LSU with them.
Well, most of those guys are sitting on the bench right now wondering if they're going to make the college football playoff because their coach just bolted in the middle of the night.
And that's on Ole Miss, and that part's on Ole Miss. He offered to coach the rest of the season. That's on Ole Miss.
No,
it is. That part is on Ole Miss. He offered to finish the rest of the season. They told him no. That's on Ole Miss.
I don't think finishing the season. Lane Kiffin wanted.
Yeah, Ole Miss did the right thing.
Those players are gone though. Like let's be real though. Those players are gone at the end of the season. Any key players that are on Ole Miss right now are going to LSU to play with Lane Kiffin, or they're going to experience a different university to play for. They are not playing at Ole Miss. So we keep talking about finishing the season. He is trying to finish the season that he got these guys to. So if we're just talking about the season, he's trying to finish it.
He can't do that if he applied at another job. All of this is Lane.
But Ole Miss did this to themselves. Ole Miss did this to themselves by making the ultimatum. If they would have just let the season play out and let him do his thing.
It's not Lane's fault at all.
He does.
He is an angel. He will be Saint Lane now, forever known.
You got to build a staff too. Like it's not
completely blameless. It's more
Rozycki,
money.
If you want to keep putting people's words, if you want to keep putting words in people's mouth, that's fine. But that's not.
You're just saying it's completely on. You're saying it's.
I did not say it's completely. I did not say it's completely.
You're saying it's on Ole Miss.
I said that portion of them not letting him finish the season and giving the ultimatum is on him. He should, at the end of the day, should he have maybe had a better conversation with Ole Miss? Yeah, but Ole Miss forced his hand by putting it before the Egg Bowl. If they didn't come out and say make your decision for the Egg Bowl, maybe LSU's a little bit more patient because they know, okay, he's just going to finish his season out. But now they know there's an ultimatum. So at the end of the day, there's fault for everybody.
And I guess with 38 seconds left of the show, we'll actually talk some NBA. I'll just use this as an example. If you're a Cavs fan, you love your Cavaliers, you love your Donovan Mitchell, you love your Jared Allen, you're okay with Darius Garland on some days and probably not on some others, but you love your wine and gold. If Kenny Atkinson, if we found out that he signed a contract to coach the LA Lakers for the 26-27 season, if he signed that contract next week, but he said, hey, I'll stick around and coach the Cavaliers to finish the season out, how cool would you be? Would you let that happen? Would you be okay with that?
Two different things. One, nowhere near it. Two different. Would you like me to answer, or do you want to answer yourself? Two different things. One, the season's nowhere near the playoffs, so kind of irrelevant. Two, the NCAA has allowed themselves to have this kind of stuff. I keep going back to the Wild Wild West. This isn't some new foreign concept that Lane Kiffin just invented. So it's completely different. You know why? Because the NCAA has allowed themselves to get into this mess. The NBA and all these professional leagues don't allow that to happen. So that's where it falls on too. We keep talking about just Lane Kiffin, but the AA's point, don't hate the player, hate the game.
Yeah, blame the system, don't take personal accountability.
Hey, if they don't have a no compete,
at the end of the day,
that's what it is. That's and you know what though? At the end of all this, the biggest loser could be LSU, because Rob, I think you are right in the standpoint of if Alabama opens up, Lane Kiffin's talking. If Ohio State ever open up, Lane Kiffin's talking.
NFL.
If the Kansas City Chiefs have an opening post Andy Reid, Lane Kiffin's talking. So LSU's the desperate team. LSU's the desperate team, the desperate program that is well funded, that is affluent. They have the resources, they have the money, they want to be at that next level, and they push the issue.
Yeah, man, if only they cared about healthcare as much as they do about football.
Well, that's a different show there, buddy, and you know the answer to that.
Yeah, it is what it is. And
let's get the governor's thoughts on that.
I'm sure he doesn't. No, he knows. I'm sure he knows exactly what Lane Kiffin's lifetime winning percentage is, but he has no idea what the actual education budget is. reasonably sure on that one, but it is what it is. Let's see here. We got, let's see, about a minute or two left here of the show. We're already about 10, 15 minutes over as it is. I have bedtime coming up soon. I have to run the morning show at 5 o'clock. Good news, though. I found out that all I have to do is produce the morning show as opposed to run the board for the morning show. So
there you go.
That thing gets a little easier tomorrow morning. So
there you
we got
go.
that. We got that working. But is there any final thoughts? Have we learned anything? Is there something we should have learned? Is there a reason that Eli wants to punch me? What do we have for closing thoughts here at the show?
Well, I'll start here. And this is a little somber note on my end, but I actually learned this past weekend, my old band director passed away. My childhood band director passed away, young, early 50s. He was doing what he loved best. He was performing. He was a drummer performing, and right after the performance, had a medical emergency, passed away that night. It is weird just because, I am Facebook friends with some of my old teachers. I joked, I'm like, well, I know I'm a grown adult now, but do I still call my teachers Mr. and Mrs., or do I call them by their first name? I don't know. That's just it's a random thing on my end. But
what I've seen a few times is like, celebrities like talk to their teachers, get them on camera. And every time they talk to their teacher, they're sitting here like this and the teacher walks in the room and then all of a sudden it's, they turn into that 12-year-old pupil. Yes, sir. No, sir. No problem. And it's hilarious to watch that, in a lot of cases, very successful human being completely just devolve back into their 11-year-old self.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, Michael Janowitz, that was his name, but Mr. Janowitz to me, Mr. J.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy too, because you're close with a lot of your teachers, but band's interesting because you can have a band director, in the case of Mr. J, for all of middle school, all of high school. That's 6 years.
Yeah.
Of your young band director watching your development from a punk little child to a 18-year-old punk child, afterwards. And then, again, he kept up. He was actually a fan of what we're doing here on the network and on the show. We would talk Browns, some therapy, we got more and more people, by the way, reaching out to us on stuff. So he will greatly be missed. It's just crazy. It's just like, man, we've lost some close people at that age, that early 50s. Our buddy Mike Holycoat, my dad's in his mid 50s when he transitioned. So we got to keep our close ones together, always follow up. Life is very precious, and take care of ourselves each and every single day. So I'm thinking of their family because certainly, their Thanksgiving, their adult children or his adult children, his wife, they certainly was not expecting to not have him be a part, to miss out on their Thanksgiving dinner this year. So that was tough news to get over the last week.
That makes me so sad. Doubly, I'm sending prayers to the family and blessings. I know that sucks. What I learned this weekend is that I can't cook. Thanksgiving should be left to the professionals. I didn't try to cook. I stepped in the kitchen a few times, asked if they needed anything. My sister, my mother, congratulations to them. Another success. But my mom and sister cooked the Thanksgiving dinner together. They did a great job. My sister, my brother was home from Ohio State. He came in, had his girlfriend there, my brother-in-law, the kiddos, and my niece and nephew, mom, pops, everybody there. It was cool, and I was there. And it was cool, man. That was, I guess, what I learned this weekend. Usually I have some super riveting stuff. What I learned is, Thanksgiving dinner is crazy. I get nervous cooking, spaghetti and, meatballs. I still haven't mastered how to make a good meatball. So it's at the end of the day, I don't know how they have done this every year and made it look so great, but I just wanted to take some time here to thank my mom, thank my sister Maddie. Like, I love you. Thank you so much for the great dinner. And I do, on a serious note, want to say it has been so cool. My nephew is 4, or will be 4 March 30th. My niece will be 2 in April. When we started doing this show, I was, 18 years old when we first did the show way back when. And I didn't have a clue about anything except for sports and chicken nuggets from McDonald's and how much the 20-piece ran. To be able to step into the role, so I guess I'm getting deep for a moment here, but to step into the role of my niece and nephew as their uncle and be there and just be the fun uncle. I'm the one tossing them up in the air, running around, keeping them distracted while this Thanksgiving dinner is going on. To see that and see like the mom my sister has become and my brother-in-law as a father, that makes me really happy. That's what I'm thankful for, I think. Really that, and then to see my little brother come home. He's got a 4.0 at Ohio State. He's on his way to probably solving the next like space launch or whatever. I mean, the kid's a genius. I'm
making sure you will not be the favorite child. Yeah,
I'm trying, but I am beyond proud of them, man. And that's, I guess, like what I didn't touch too much on my Thanksgiving at the beginning of the show. Great food, but damn, am I proud. Sometimes I forget because I'm doing so much to check in with little bro, to check in with my sister, and damn, I'm gonna start crying here on a Sunday night. But I'm proud of them, man. I'm proud of them. That's what I learned this week. And thanks to mom and pops for continuing to put me in position to succeed. Thank you, too. I love it.
That's phenomenal. Shout out to both of your families. Rob, did you ever think we did this show 10 years ago? Eli cooked.
Yeah.
And
Thanksgiving is tough too.
Yeah.
Like,
No. Thanksgiving, I brought the rolls into the dining room table. That's what
we have. I think everyone in America, there's a strict rule. You can be a good cook, everything like that. Thanksgiving is not the day to be experimenting.
Well, it's a different. Like, dude, like I have made my living cooking in kitchens for 25 years.
Yeah.
That being said, no Thanksgiving dinner. Like I've done it a few times on a smaller scale, but you look at, like if you got, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 people to feed, like it is a timing and it is a skill set that, I can cook a turkey. I can make you, green bean casserole. I could, make you cheesy potatoes. But doing literally 30 of those at the same time with one oven, typically, maybe 2 if you got kind of a split deal going, and you got maybe 4 burners on a range, that is a different beast altogether. And normally, I try to, the professional line cook ducks in a corner and lets the little old ladies do their thing.
Dude, it's crazy. And I know I'm sure you got something great you learned this weekend. It's just crazy to see like my sister was literally taking care of the kids. I mean, my brother-in-law was doing a great job too, but they like to run around. And my sister's like, hold on, I got the one with the bottle. Hold on. Hold on. Let's flip the mashed potato. I'm like, what is going on? I felt like I was calling Madden. Like, this was crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's for sure. And, I was going to go, obviously, thankful for Thanksgiving and great family. I'm thankful for Nikki, my extremely patient girlfriend. Yes, keep that patience going, baby. But I'm thankful for all that, stuff, and, thankful for the massive amount of hours that I picked up at both jobs throughout the couple of last few days and made some money for sure. But I was going to go with a little bit of a less serious what I learned this week. And what I learned this week is that I actually agree with Alex Rodriguez on something. And I'm going to do this while opening a pack of 2025 Topps baseball cards with Mr. Shohei Ohtani on the front of it. A-Rod was talking on a podcast a few days ago, and he lit up Commissioner Bud Selig. Talking about, and, obviously A-Rod has been on the ballot for 5 years of the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame, and obviously is not in. And he was talking about saying, hey, quote, all of this stuff that you're talking about was under Bud Selig's watch. The fact that those 2 guys are not in, but somehow Bud Selig is in the Hall of Fame, it feels to me that there's a little bit some hypocrisy around that. And I have been screaming about that for the entire steroid run. The commissioner's office knew what was happening with Sosa and McGuire and subsequently 20 other guys, including Barry Bonds. And Barry Bonds, I think, almost, he abused it to a point where they had to say something. But throughout the home run chase in 1998, it was 3 years after the baseball strike. They were still trying to resuscitate the game. Cal Ripken breaking Lou Gehrig's streak helped out, but baseball it wasn't there yet. And it took that home run, a 2-guy home run race of, racing a dead man, racing Roger Maris in 60 home runs. And it took the country by storm. Brian Williams on the newscast, NBC Nightly News, they were cutting in with at-bats from these guys. It worked. But while all that was happening, you had people seeing performance enhancers in lockers. It was a common knowledge that these guys were doing something that maybe they should not have been doing. But baseball, looking at the ratings, looking at the dollars coming in, looking at the exposure, looking at their game coming back, didn't really care about that then. When all of a sudden Congress gets involved in the mid-2000s, that's when you get on your high horse. That's when you say we care about the sanctity of the game. That's when you say we're here to protect the legacies of Ty Cobb and Babe Ruth and Walter Johnson and Nolan Ryan. That's when you do that. You already counted the money. You already cashed the check. You already bought your new house. But now to victimize the players who were in that situation, who did physically bring the game back, who physically were the ones who did. Nobody bought a ticket to go see Bud Selig play. Mm-hmm. Nobody bought a ticket to go see Dick Jacobs play. In all due respect to Mr. Jacobs. But they saw the players play. The players hit home runs. The players captivated the country. The players did things to get into the Hall of Fame. And if you're going to put in these administrators who knew what was going on, or at the very least knew something was going on, then you better put in these players. And for once, and I know it's weird, that I actually agree with one Alex Rodriguez. Real quick here's the pack. We got Eduardo Rodriguez from, looks like the Diamondbacks. Jack Flaherty from the Tigers.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Who knows? I might be trading him soon like the Tigers. Josh Lowe. We got Roki Sasaki, who we're going to keep an eye on that. Now, he is the Dodgers closer. Corbin Burns, former Guardian legend Jake Bowers. We got
that
Mitchell
Parker. Dude, that Burns
Alex
was good.
Thomas.
Ooh.
I don't know what an Austin Barnes is, but I have his card. We have Jonathan Arandia. We have, a vintage all-star Aaron Judge.
Wow.
So we will keep that guy. We also have Riley Green from the Tigers, burning hell. Let's see. We have Andre Palante from the St. Louis Cardinals. I don't know that guy at all. I wish him the best. And we have Brandon Lockridge. It looks like he plays for the Padres, or at least did at one point. I don't know him either, but
got a few good ones in those.
Yeah, a couple of good, decent ones. I was hoping for a Dodgers Shohei Ohtani to go with my collection here, but other than that, yeah, I figured I might as well open up a baseball card while bitching about baseball. But yeah, that's what I learned this week.
I guess for me, it's one of those things where, look, we saw the great baseball players of the 90s. We saw them play. You can't pretend like it didn't happen. You can't pretend like they didn't exist. Like I watched, we all watched Barry Bonds and Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire, and we watch all that stuff. Aaron, Alex Rodriguez. Like baseball cannot pretend like that didn't happen just because of old grudgy sports writers who don't want to get them into the Hall of Fame because you got to do things the right way.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of old crusty writers, too, I got a 35-year-old pack of tops here. 1990. Let's see what we got here.
One more for the road, AA.
Yeah, one more for the road. Actually,
I got a pack of cards. Why? I got a pack of cards. It's in my car right now. But
this was the Aaron Judge I picked up. First card on this pack, same card, just vintage year, Mr. Wade Boggs.
Boggs? Dang.
So, yes, we actually do have a little bit here. I thought with this Topps pack I could read it without my glasses, but sadly I'm getting old. We got Jerome Walton. I have no idea who that guy is. We have Don Ass.
Excuse me?
Don Ass? I think it's Ass.
Okay, well, you know what? I don't want your highfalutin language tips here. We have Dale Seavam. We have Brian Dubois. Never heard of that guy, even though I was the only one alive here who was playing. Brandon Meyer. We have Jeff Robinson for the Pirates.
Oh, wow.
This is one of the worst cards. Mark Davis was an all-star card for like Topps in 90, 91, 92. I don't know who this guy is. I've never heard of that dude. We have Rafael Belliard. Ooh, Darren Dalton, man. One of the best catchers back in the 80s and 90s. Don't mess with that dude. We got Rick Shue, Louis Aquino. We have Jeff Torborg when they had manager cards.
Oh.
And then
These new broadcasts.
Ooh. We actually might have hit something here.
Dude.
Edgar Martinez rookie card.
That's sick.
There it is.
That's sick.
And then Dwight Smith, Lance McCullers. So, yeah, that was $2 well spent.
Hey.
But, yeah. I don't know. You want to bring in baseball cards or whatever cards for the next show? I'm all for a little bit of levity in this very, very heavy world.
Hey, I'll trade you that stack for my All Elite Wrestling trading card stack I have in the car.
Oh, you haven't opened it yet?
Oh, I got something in the car. Give me if you have 10 minutes of your time, I will go outside.
Okay, we went from ending the show in a few minutes here to let's just sit here and talk amongst ourselves until quarter after.
If you don't have to, in fact, if you don't have to work tomorrow, I will go outside, get my stack of AEW cards. That's the cue to end the show.
I think I'm going to make this executive decision that we will, for everybody out there tuning in, we get to see Double A's AEW trading cards next week. I'm going to go find something. Maybe I'll find hockey.
No,
okay. Yes. Well, we'll plan on that maybe, and we'll also we can with the holidays coming up too. We can get a couple of shows together that maybe just card centric. That we can kind of give a little bit of a light time here.
Just opening cards.
But
2 hours of opening cards.
Let's just pull the plug on the show. I kind of regret the fact that I've opened these cards up and opened up this ball of wax at 9:00 at night. But nonetheless, here we are. But thank you all for listening. I know we wanted to keep this thing to a tight hour. We just did about 45 minutes, a little longer than normal. Good job, everybody, on that one. But thank you for listening about the Browns and the Niners, about the Buckeyes and Wolverines, about us talking bros before hoes and defining a hoe. And figuring, we didn't even talk about the Browns player that was absolutely just beating the shit out of Juwan Jennings and saying
Shelby Harris, the first clip of the show.
Yeah, and we didn't even hit that one. Again, crazy kind of week here. But thank you for the sticking along with us for the better part of 2 hours here for this discussion. For Eli Moon, for Double A Anthony Alford, for Darren Dalton. What's up?
Hold on, let me give you context of what happened real quick because Cameron Justice of Channel 5 put that out there with Shelby Harris. Let me pull it up real quick. I know we're wrapping. Give me 2 seconds. Give me 2 seconds. Apparently, as far as taking things personal, Cameron Justice, she was told that he was talking about wives and children. Juan Jennings. And that's why Shelby Harris had the comments at the beginning. So I just want to get that.
Yeah, he sounds like a really nice guy.
Yeah.
But yes, at least we got that. At least we tied up that loose end by the end of the show.
That's what we're all about.
Yeah.
But for Double A, Anthony Alford, for Eli Moon, for Darren Dalton and Wade Boggs, I am Rob Rozycki. This is the main event here on the Inside Edge Podcasting Network. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed it. We enjoyed giving it to you. I hope you had half as much fun consuming it as we did producing it. But for everybody here in our virtual studio, I am Rob Rozycki. We'll see you next week.